about that? How about that for an opener? Did you like that? I've been wanting to make something, that goes with the, I don't know, with the opening of the live stream. And I thought that was a simple way to incorporate some music and some images from different videos. So it looks like we have, hey, Butch, glad you're here. Mo, show on, Mo's Elbow Grease. He's checking in. And then 68 Stang, that is actually Reese. He was on the live stream last week talking about his Porsche and the Mustang. And so he changed the name of his channel to 68 Space Stang. And that matches his Instagram that we talked about last week as well. Rob, that's a different name. Bejic? I'm going to have to guess on that one. From Australia, glad you're here. Jack with the 66 Fastback. Glad you're here, Jack. And Guido is on the comments, on the chat. So we have 12 people. Well, it shows 12 currently. I don't know if that actually pops up or not, but shows 12 here. And of course, I know that'll grow over time. Hey, Dave, glad you're here. Yeah. So Guido, you need to check your tie rod ends. That was hey, Bob Noel, 67. First time on. All right. First time on. You get a bell for showing up. Thank you. Yeah, Guido's referring to the video that I did on that Toyota Camry earlier in the week, what day is it? Monday. So yesterday? I don't even know. Hey, Gary. And I was doing just some basic maintenance on a 2001 Toyota Camry that my friends have. And the car belonged to an older relative who lives in Florida, and they hardly drove the car. And it only had 56,000 miles on it. Hey, Paul, glad you're here. Working on a Suburban. Give you a bell for that. But this Camry, 56,000 miles on it. You'd think there's nothing wrong with this car. And I was wrong. And so I was doing an oil change, checking the belts. And I usually, with that kind of car, I would do a cursory inspection on tire inflation and also, kind of look at the brakes. And I don't always pull the wheel off, but I try to look through the wheel to get an idea how thick the pads were. And it was not a good way to do it. I could not see through the wheel well enough to gauge how thick the pads were. So I thought, well, I'm already here. Just jack it up, take the wheel off. And I jacked it up. And I don't know if I noticed it immediately or when I was after I looked, I think I leaned in to look at the pads and my hand, hit the spindle and the thing wiggled. And I thought, oh, wait a minute. And I mean, it just moved all over the place. So if you haven't seen the video, that travel on that wheel was probably 3/4 of an inch. I've never seen that much play in a. No, I say that at the full dimension of the wheel. So that exaggerates as you go out. We all know that. If you're really close, it's probably only that much. But further out you go, the greater the tolerance. Or the greater the witness of that. But anyway, I decided to do a video on changing out that tie rod, and I'm glad I looked at that. And another thing that was throwing me off, the car had 3 new tires on it. So the left front, right front, and the right rear were all new tires, and then they were a different brand than the left rear. And I'm looking at that, and I'm thinking, okay, is there something out of the ordinary? Why is this tire the only one that's not been changed? So I get everything done, and I decide, well, I need to just take it for just a simple test drive. I know they drove this car back and forth to Florida twice, the way it was. Well, come to find out, hey, Robert, I come to find out that whenever they picked it up the first time from Florida, they had changed the left front tire because it was worn. It was cupping. And I guess they got 2 new tires up front or something, and I don't know the exact scenario, but that had I seen the tire that was on there, I would have been red flagged really quick to identify that something was wrong with that steering. Hey, Bob. Well, here's the thing. They felt a vibration, but they didn't feel it at speed. And to me, if the tie rod, you wouldn't necessarily feel that at speed because the tires are naturally want to go straight. They kind of want to flow. Now, if they were turning or something, it might do something more obvious, but they did feel a vibration, which leads me to part 2. Hey, Emil. Hey, Brian. So here I was. I decided to do a little test drive, make sure everything's working. And sure enough, I felt, and this is after I replaced the tie rod, mind you, I felt a little bit of a shimmy. And I having driven cars for so long, having driven race cars and just all kinds of stuff, you get a feel for where a vibration is coming from. And so, you feel it in your rear end. You feel it in your back, a lot of that kind of movement. So anyway, I felt a vibration and I identified it was a left rear, which was the only tire that hadn't been replaced. So now I was befuddled. I was thinking, why is there a vibration? And in fact, I opened a door as I was going slow. I looked out and I could see the wheel just barely making, the tire barely moving back and forth. So I thought, well, okay, jack this up, start looking at it. I spun around the right rear wheel. It was true, nothing wrong. I spun the left rear and the wheel was true. And so I knew the bearings were fine, but the tire itself was having a shimmy. So of course I started feeling the tire and I felt a lump. It had broken bands. Nobody identified that it had broken bands, even though there was a wear spot adjacent to the broken bands, So there were several things wrong. And I'm glad I really gave it a look because you picture a car with 56,000 miles, you're not thinking, well, the tie rod's going to be bad or it's going to have a defective tire. It doesn't come to your mind automatically, especially since they've been driving it. But anyway, I fixed that tie rod, and I know they're planning on driving that car, I think, to California. Their daughter lives out in California, and so that's what they're going to be using out there. So I think I think they went today to get 2 new tires and an alignment because I told them to get an alignment done because I didn't know I can't do an alignment. Coffee, but I can get close. So anyway, beyond that, I started doing some more work on the Impala, and this is something that I was hoping I didn't have to do this, honestly. But I'll give you some background. When the gentleman brought the car over here, initially for the radiator, it was smoking. When he pulled up in my driveway, smoke was just rolling out of both rear wheel wells. No, I don't think so, Butch, because the tire that was on the front was already the one they changed. It was worn out already, so that's why they had swapped it out. The one I'm pretty confident that was on the left rear the whole time, but yeah, belt separation is crazy. But anyway, when my friend drove this Impala over, I mean, it was just smoke rolling out of the wheel wells, and it just kept coming, and it wasn't like a little bit. I don't know if I've ever seen that much smoke coming out of the rear brakes of a car. And I asked him, I said, is your parking brake on? He said, no. And I thought, that's not good. That's not good. So we talked about it, and I said, well, I'm probably going to have to look at the brakes. He said, that's fine. Have a look at it and see what you got. So I've been kind of not wanting to do it. It's one of those tasks. It's not like changing brake pads on a caliper car, with the rotor and stuff. It's a little more complicated with the brake shoes. So anyway, I pulled it apart, and I've already swapped out the driver's side because the wheel cylinder was, well, the wheel cylinder is just crusty, so they had to be swapped. And I assume, I don't know for sure, but I'm assuming these are the original wheel cylinders. And they also, I know it's hard to see, try to get some light on it, but there's cracks all through the shoes. So those had to be changed too. Anyway, so I've already done the driver's side, and I actually put some pictures on Facebook and Instagram asking if I should do a video on changing out the wheel cylinder and brake shoes. And for the most part, everybody said, yeah, because a lot of people just don't know how to do that stuff. And so I'll probably shoot a video on the passenger side and get it done, get it out there for everybody to see. Question from Emil. Is auto body restoration your full-time job? It could be. It very well could be. If you've watched, I did a video last week for 40,000 subscriber giveaway, and if you haven't gotten in on that, you need to go back to that video and leave a comment to get in on the drawing for various stuff. But I have a full-time job right now. I'm an aircraft mechanic full-time, but I announced in that previous video for the giveaway that I submitted for early retirement. And the hope is that I can do this stuff as a full-time gig. And it's going to take some work, not only from myself, but also the subscribers. I need those numbers to grow. I need people to, watch the ads on the YouTube videos, let the video run its length, because all the algorithms they have for YouTube goes by that. It goes by watch time, how long the ad is played, and that sort of thing. So, if you're watching one of these videos, let the ad run. I know it's a pain. I understand that. But if you can, let the ad run. And then also, if I have a video that's 20 minutes long and somebody watches it for 5, well, YouTube doesn't like that. They want to see it run for probably past halfway. And I know there's certain things that people don't need to see or don't want to see, but the way I make the videos, I try to put out as much information as I can and make it useful to just about anybody. So anyway, at this point, the goal is to do this stuff full time, and we'll see how that goes. I submitted, a couple days ago, whatever. I don't even know what day it is today. Sorry, today's Monday, and I submitted, and they're supposed to send me an information packet, and I want to see it, in writing, and I've got to talk to some financial people about how to handle finances and get more knowledge on that stuff. But yeah, Guido, could be. Yeah. It was, man, those brakes were the wheel cylinders. They won't push in. It happens all the time. They get some moisture in there and then they rust. Lawrence, most people don't know how to change brake shoes on a drum car anymore. That is very true. People are intimidated when they see all those springs and clips and brackets, and and I understand that. And when I do those type of videos, I also put it on, or I tell people only do one side at a time. That way you have a reference. You can go to either side and look at them, and never tear them both off at the same time. Just like doing a bodywork on a car. Only do one quarter panel at a time. Don't cut the whole back of the car off and then go, I don't know how it fits. Keep a reference point. Yeah, Yeah, Brian. I'm hoping it does too. There's other things that I've mentioned before, and again, I've talked with some other people about this, and I'm not the kind of person that is begging for anybody to save me or anything like that. But if the channel continues to grow and I get subscribers and people watch the ads and all that stuff, that's a great thing. If people go to my Amazon page, that helps. I've got a link on this video in the description to my Amazon page. And I pointed out before, if you want to buy something from Amazon, you can buy anything you want. But if you go through my link, I get a little percentage of that. It doesn't cost you anything. It doesn't change the value at all. I get a little percentage because I brought you to the page. So what I've told people before is if you go to Amazon and you fill up your cart with whatever you want to get, let your cart sit, find my link, click on it, and then when you get there, you can go to your cart and just hit pay, and boom, it processes and I get a little out of it. And the other thing I've mentioned before is the Patreon thing. And I've had some people jump on and help me out with Patreon. That's awesome. And if you're not familiar with it, it's a service to where if you want to, if you feel like it, you can contribute on a monthly basis. Now, I know that I've tried to express this I've even looked on YouTube. There is a thing for memberships, but for some reason, my channel, I'm not showing that option. So I think there's a thing if you were paid to be a member of my channel, you don't have to, I think the ads skip or something. You don't see any ads, or I don't know. But for some reason, I don't have that option. So, Patreon is another thing where people can donate monthly. And it's like, I have people have, subscribe for $1 a month. It's not much, but if you have 100 people do it, well, it helps. So anyway, enough about that. Phil, glad you're here. David's here from David Outdoor 74. Jerry's here. Art. Probably helps a bit when I put your channel on play late at night and fall asleep. I'll give you 2 bells for that, Art. Thank you. Yeah, well, David, I don't know how that's going to be. I don't know how I'm going to take care of that yet. The finances part. We'll get there. Brian, have you had any experience with the 4-row aluminum radiators you find on Amazon? I have not. I have talked with people who have used those. From what they've said, they haven't had any issues. It's really not that complicated. It's the Amazon or the aluminum radiators. If they're built, I want to say a little heavier than the old style copper ones. Where they solder them together, because my understanding, I can't say for sure, but they're welded perimeters or welded tanks. So I would believe they're going to be stronger and tougher than the old style radiators. And I've been looking at them myself, those radiators, and I'd get one. Honestly, I don't think there's any issue with the quality of those. And of course, they have a return policy as well. But that's just all I can really say. I haven't actually used them, but I've heard good things from people who have. Have sponsors come to you to use their products? Well, I have had a contact. I've had a couple contacts from like auto parts companies. I think one was autoparts.com contacted me, and then recently I had Advanced Auto Parts contact me about being an affiliate, and I have not been able to talk with them on the phone just yet. Have been in the same place at the same time, and my guess is the affiliate program would be very similar to the Amazon program, to where if I like for example, I'm putting on these brake shoes. These are from Advanced Auto Parts. And if I were to list those in the video or list them in the description through Amazon and somebody clicked on it, then my understanding is, my belief is I would get some sort of percentage of that. But I have to wait and see how that works. And it would only be, if I did that kind of thing, it would only be specifically for their products. So like putting on an alternator or doing brakes on a Honda or a tie rod end on a Camry, stuff like that. So it wouldn't be on every single channel, I don't think. Let's see. Norland. That's a different name. Norland Edie. I'm considering retiring myself after 7 weeks of being on COVID-19 layoff and being 63. It may be possible. Yeah. Well, for me, it's probably a little bit more challenging, let's say, because I'm 53 and I have a lot of life left in me. But the package that I'm being offered is probably the best thing I'll ever get as an offer. And, you know, talking it over with many people who are in similar situations, they're like, yeah, you probably need to go ahead and do this. And so that's been part of my thinking. So we'll see how it goes. But again, I'm focusing on this YouTube channel and the other one too, JJ's Workshop. If you haven't seen that one, go check that one out too. There's stuff on there. But we'll see how it goes. Guido, Champion 2 and 3 core have come down in price. Yep. I haven't been following them very well or very much, but I'll have to take your word for it. 68 Stang, Reese, do you know the best way to get replacement keys? Locksmith or buy a whole set with all the locks? I've heard that the repro locks aren't the best quality. You know, I have not, well, I haven't researched the locks very much, and I don't know how hard it would be to have a new keys made. Now, I'm pretty sure they can make one pretty easily from the door lock. And the ignition, I don't know. You'd have to contact the locksmith and see what they say. But I haven't heard anybody having problems with aftermarket stuff like that. But I don't have a good answer for you. But call up a locksmith and just see what they say. And it depends probably on the vehicle too. I don't know if you're talking about your Mustang, but I'm sure there's plenty of suppliers out there that make those. Let's see. Dave, about aluminum radiators, how detrimental do you think painting is black radiator paint would be good to the cooling airflow? I don't think it hurt it at all. I mean, you know, the old radiators were copper, and they painted them all black, and it was just an appearance. I've seen, it's like an aluminum intake. I've seen people paint them. It doesn't affect it, and it does its job. So I would have no issue painting an aluminum radiator to have it blend in. So that's my 2 cents. Good question. Guido, they made an offer I couldn't refuse. Had to say it. Is that right? You want me to say it with a heavy New York accent? Boondocker, glad you're here. Hey, Terry, glad you're here. And David, great news. Oh, so okay. For the first time, I ran a small generator on biogas I made in my backyard. It's amazing. That's cool. Yeah. If you haven't seen David Outdoor 74, he's doing a lot of more nature type stuff, you know, gardening and a variety of things, honestly. But he's been working on developing his own biogas. So that's pretty interesting. What else? Let me think. What else I was going to mention. But anyway, I'll be doing. I'll probably go ahead and do the video on the Impala brakes because, like I said, not everybody knows about those. And I had one other thing. Oh yeah. Now here's a situation, and this is partly, well, probably mostly my fault that this is where I'm at on this. But with the Brooklyn Pony, you know, getting parts and pieces and stuff, you know, I've said before I need stuff, and I received the cross member for the transmission, which is great. I was really looking forward to getting that cross member, and it's the brand. What is the name of the company? California Pony Cars, and it's through Summit. And here's the conflict. I forgot to mention so I'll take the bulk of the responsibility for this. But I forgot to, or not. I guess I really didn't know. Let's put it that way. You know, I put the floor pan in the pony, and the car is a 66. But what I've learned, or what I believe to be 100% true, is they use the cross member from a 67 and up. So I didn't think about this until I got this cross member, because the light blue Mustang that I did years ago, put in the floor pan, it belongs to my cousin. He contacted me and he said, "Hey, do you have the cross member?" And I said, "No, I don't. I never had the cross member." And he said, I think he said he had a cross member, but it doesn't fit. And it never really clicked in my mind. Well, from what I've learned, there's two different cross members, unfortunately. So if you haven't seen them, this is the cross member, right? California Pony Cars makes this thing. Now, it's got a special shape to it, and it's designed for putting in AOD and T5 style transmissions, right? And I think Harvey, if he shows up, he's got one that he used it. He tried to use one of these, and he used something else. I don't remember the brands. The problem is the width right here. This is like, I don't know, two and a quarter, something like that. And I think the 67 and up is like 3 1/4 or something along those lines. And I had planned, or I thought I could. This came from Summit. I went online and checked. I thought maybe I could drive this back down to the Summit that's near me and exchange it, but they won't have one until the end of the month. So I'm going to have to come up with something. In fact, I'll say this: I had already thought about making my own cross member. I may build one very similar to this. I don't want to cut this one up. These things, they charge, honestly, too much money for these, but that's up to them. I can't stop that. So I went and talked to my muffler guy who builds, he has his own race cars, and he can bend up tubing. So we may experiment a little bit. And I'm not saying I'm going to make these to sell or anything like that. But what I want to do, if I do end up making one, the advantage is I can redesign it. Let's say, this thing has a bit of an angle to it. Let me see. I don't know how to aim this. You can see it's cut at a weird angle. So when you bolt it in, it kind of flares back. But it's really all on the same plane. It's not like it's got a crazy sideways shape to it. The tubing is straight all the way across. So I'm thinking I can make these ears. I went and looked today. I've got 1/8" plate. That's what this is. I can't bend them, but I'll make my own. I'll cut the shape, and I'll just make a flat and weld on ends, and then I can recreate that pretty quick. And then this part, which is the mount point, that's only 3/16. That's nothing. That's an easy make. But I can't curve it. I can't make the shape. So what my muffler guy told me to do was build my ends, and then we can maybe doctor up a piece of something to get the shape and verify that it does clear the transmission correctly and give us a little more room. And if I have to redesign and change the angles, fine. But I can't make myself, I can't just say, I'm going to cut this up to remake it. I don't want to do that. This can be sent back and, get some money back, whatever. Or the alternative is to get the one that has a wider flange. So, yeah. And again, I didn't think about it because, it's a 66 car. So it makes sense you would order the piece for a 66. But it looks like they make all the pans with a wider, the wider 67 and up cross member. So, or the inner brace, let's say. Yeah, I hope so, Dave. That's the plan. I want it to work out. Let's see. Guido, no, I've seen guys painting radiator. Looks cool. I was at one of the biggest car shows, car meets yesterday. 2,000 cars. Wow. That's pretty cool. Keith, or Terry, I'm sorry, Terry Keithley. How did the 65 Galaxy turn out? You know, I don't honestly know. I left, or was invited to leave in a sense, before that car was finished. And, you know, the last video I posted is as far as I saw it. I think there may be, I think I did a little more work after that video. I had most of the interior in. I think we had the top working. There was some minor things. I mean, it was looking fantastic, honestly. But I haven't seen it. The owner owns a big fancy restaurant up in Atlanta, and I heard he took it up there for a reveal or something, but I didn't get invited to that. Boondocker, Eastwood used to make a special radiator paint, not detrimental to heat dissipation. Special. Special paint. Hey, Gene, glad you're here. Battery burnout. Joining for a little bit here, but 51 here begging to be laid off so I can move into that huge garage I bought. Then that came with a house. That sounds like a plan. Anyway, so that's where I'm at with certain things at this point. Yeah. So what else is going on? You know, there's been wait a minute. Brian saying, would it have to be tubing? You know, tubing is probably easiest to work with, because I had actually started coming up with ideas in my head, and I was going to make, I forget what, I had some sort of design in mind where I could have used square tubing instead of round tubing, and I would have just angled it, you know, to make the angle that I want. And I still could do that, honestly. It doesn't have to be round tubing, but knowing that I have a muffler guy who can bend stuff, I may just make it that simple. But I could probably take maybe some, you can buy square tubing in different dimensions. You know, you get 2x4, you can get 2x2, 1x1, whatever. And I thought about coming up with, trying to find something that would be suitable that I could cut and then maybe put some cool angles on it, bring it up to match the mount points. That would be pretty, I think it would be pretty easy, but we'll see. I'm going to have to make a decision on this, but if I do, I'll make a video on it. If I make one, if I make the bracket, I'll make my own, or what design, and then make a video. So we'll see. Yeah, Guido, it's not good. I'd rather not even bring that up. Yeah. I still have the video to make for Paul on his Cougars. And, you know, last week we did the 66 Mustang GT at Jack's, and then we shot video at Dave's house. We shot Paul's Cougars, and he told me all about them. Really cool cars. So I'm going to have to get that video going pretty soon too. Yeah, sure. Send me a picture. I'm not against that. And again, I was hoping to have somebody show up on the stream tonight, but if you want to be on, it's down on the bottom there, jdaddysgarage@gmail.com. Send me an email and we can get you on a live stream and talk about stuff. Let's see. Resto Alcy, 9:30 a.m. in Australia. Well, glad you're here. So we must not, if it's 9:30 a.m. in Australia, so it's Tuesday, right? I'm not sure. What, are you not working today? If you're not, good for you. But I'm sure there's something to do, right? It's so cool to have somebody from, you know, different parts of the world be on this live stream here and watch and hang out a little bit and talk about things. Yeah. So there's yeah, Paul, I was reviewing my video that I was making with Paul, and I was referring to him as Dave, and I was like, why in the world, why was I calling him Dave? Well, I mean, Dave was there, but I had their names swapped, so I was, it was meeting, new people and talking and just trying to remember what's what, who's who. But anyway, so I was trying to introduce the cars as Dave's cars when they're actually Paul's cars. There's Harvey. Yeah, Harvey I was just talking, I don't know if you heard me, Harvey. I was talking about that cross member for the Brooklyn Pony, and it's the wrong one because the Dynacorn pan has the wider cross member, so this won't fit without modification. But I remember you had on your Instagram, you had shown pictures of that cross member and then another brand, and I don't remember which one it was. If you want to have leave a link or comment or whatever to let me know what that other brand was. Looks like I'm not going to have my guest tonight, so it's open if anybody wants to get on. And Harvey could get on. He's got he just got here. He could get on and update us on his 68 coupe that he's building. Because I know, like I said, I know he's putting in the different T5 transmission, and he was showing pictures on his Instagram of the two different cross members, and he liked one better than the other, and that was okay. All right. Oh, okay. So 777 Smitty sent me a cross member picture, but that's a whole different animal, man. That's a good thing, but that's on a full tube chassis. I like it, I do, but that won't work for the application on the Mustang because of the offsets. It would be tough to make something like that. But I'm glad you sent that picture. It's a good looking cross member. Yeah, that'll be nice and solid getting it all welded in. That's for sure. Yeah. Oh, yeah, Dave, you'd be happy to have those Cougars. Well, you probably have access to them. I know you could get to them. Well, Dave, I liked your Corvette too. That was pretty cool. Yeah, interesting stuff. Dave had some cool stuff to show me at his place, and of course later on I went to see Jorge and looked at his project, and we talked about that for a while. Had some food and chilled out in the backyard. So that was cool. Yeah, there you go, Dave. Paul will trade you for the vets. Let's see. We got Kevin. He's new here, Kevin Rundle from upstate New York. Well, I'll give you a bell for being here, Kevin. If you don't know anything about it, the bells I give, typically I give a bell if somebody has an answer to a question, or if I remember something correctly, I give myself a bell. So, and when people ask questions, I want to acknowledge that they did well and got the question right or answered it correctly. So, okay, so Harvey has sent me a video link. Or an email. So let me send back to him so we can have Harvey on here in a minute. It's sent. And like I said, it can be anybody. If they want to be on, talk about their cars. Brian, I would make the two U brackets, bolt them on, and fab squared tubing to fit. Just thought I like doing this stuff. Yeah, well, that's my vision, but it's not going to be super heavy square tubing. It can be 3/4 by I don't know, not 3/4 by 3/4, obviously, but like 3/4 by 2 or something like that, to where it's more flat. You can almost incorporate the bracket into the design. This bracket here, you could almost make that part of the assembly, maybe. I don't know. I'll play with it when I get there, but just some things to think about. It's ongoing. When you run into building stuff and doing custom work to make everything fit. Now, unfortunately, I would think that the one for the 67 and up would fit fine. I really do. But again, Summit doesn't have it, or they won't have it till the end of June, and that doesn't really help. So, yeah, if you remember your name, you get a bell. Boondocker, hey Barry, like what respirators do you use for painting and for stuff like welding? I'm assuming N95 for grinding, etc. Okay, well, typically like an N95 mask. In fact, this is one of the masks, and I've used this quite a few times because I like it because it's got the elastic bands on the back, and you can just pull it on and snug it up, and obviously it's got a lot of use, but it is an N95. And then the respirators that I use, these, in fact, I have my respirator right here, are 3M 6001s, which is it should be an organic respirator. Yeah, organic vapors. So from my understanding, that's the one to use. And of course, my respirator has the outer liners, little plastic pieces that cover up. Let me close that out. Cover up the intake. You get these little cotton filters, and you can see how much they stop. I mean, it should be white. So, and these little liners are 3M FP71, and I think I think these come with the kit when you buy the respirator, but it helps pre-clean the particles. And then what I try to do, because they're only good for a certain period of time as well, and I had my paint guy tell me to preserve your filters and try to make them last longer. When you take off the mask, put it in a plastic bag and seal it up. Just try to keep air out of it, And the other thing I do is there's a little blank spot here. I write the date of when I installed them. So when I'm looking at it, I go, oh, okay, I've had it for X amount of time. In fact, these I need to replace already because of how much I've used them. So let's see. Thoughts on TunePort? I don't have any thoughts on the TunePort. Never mess with it. Not familiar enough with it to give you any tips or advice, so can't help you there. Sorry. Okay, we've got Harvey coming on. Let me see where we're at here. Billy the Kid is checking in. Okay, so here we have Harvey. There's Harvey.
Hey, how's it going?
How's it going?
Good. Good weather here in New Jersey tonight.
That's good.
Yeah. Everything's cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was warm last week.
Yeah. I think the hot weather followed you out of our town.
It may have. It may have.
That's cool. Hey, I'm looking at the screen here. It looks a little different. I was looking for the thing to flip. To flip the camera around the other way.
Yeah.
I don't see it. I forget if it's at the bottom or the top. I think I'm out of practice.
What if you just touch the screen itself? Will it appear? Doesn't show up?
No.
That's odd. I know it's there somewhere.
Yeah, it might be. Could even be something with my phone or.
Ask Barry what's on the back of his call.
Yep. Harvey deleted himself. He deleted himself. Okay. So Randall's here from Utah. Cool. Boondocker 1x3 square 2. You might work great. miter ends and look trick. Yeah, that's what I'm thinking. Something along those lines. I have to have something to mount to the plates, which I can make the plates. That's not a problem. But it's just getting that design to where it looks nice and does a good job. Yeah, but I'm going to do a little more checking into it. I can build the end brackets in an hour or so, have those done, but I need to. Here's another thought that I need to come up with. Had I had, this thing, I may have to use this as a height reference because I talked about it before, the angle of the engine and transmission. So I cannot bolt this in place because it's not wide enough, right? But I could come up with hardware, some really long bolts that I could put through that will give me an up and down location. And then that gives me the height for the bracket. So it'll help me zero it in to where that needs to be. And then once I figure that out and I can do some measuring and triangulate it to where I know that where the bracket needs to be, then I can fabricate the two end pieces like I was saying and custom make whatever I want to make this plate sit in the right spot. So it's kind of one of those things you got to reverse engineer stuff sometimes, and if that's what happens, well, that's the way it goes. All right, we're gonna try Harvey again. Here we go.
Hey, Barry.
Hey,
that button I pushed, not that one. It kind of dumped me.
Hey,
we have an assistant.
My wife's helping me with tech support tonight.
Yeah. Well, at least you have some help there, because I don't
not
have
doing any better. He needs his sons to help him with
Yeah.
that.
Oh, yeah. So you didn't find the turnaround button?
No, I can't find it, man. Like I'm looking down the bottom, like I see mute, video, cam, mic. It looks like a gear. Chat. Why don't I see it?
I don't know. It was there before. I remember you flipping it.
Yeah, I know I did, because I would walk around and show.
Are you sure it doesn't go side, like they don't go sideways or anything?
I'm gonna
I
try.
have an older phone than him, so I'm like,
Yeah.
Okay. Yours is still coin operated?
mine's 2.5 years old. Everybody else has a new phone but me.
Yeah.
It's
Let
got
me
a
try
crank.
putting my phone this way.
Got a crank on the side?
Okay, that's better. Okay, now I'm sideways at least.
Well,
That's
I don't know.
anyway. Did you get those two cross members put in? One of them?
Yeah, so I did. So I had the one that looks like the one you had in your video. I just saw it. I just logged on a little late and I saw you holding it up for a sec.
Right.
That was the one that I had a lot of problems with. It first thing, I have a brand new cross member that I welded into the trans tunnel.
Okay.
And I think that is a pretty accurate piece. It was a Dynacorn piece, and it wasn't like it was a cheap one. But the bolts didn't line up. Like my old cross member fit into it fine for the automatic.
Yes.
But the distance was wrong between the two ends.
Oh.
So I had to hog the holes out a little bit.
Yeah.
In fact, I think it's sitting around here somewhere. Yeah. If I can. So
Okay.
I got to get the feel for the camera. So I had to enlarge the holes just to get the thing to go into the car.
Yeah, turn it sideways. No, okay, so the offset goes way to the front.
Yeah.
If I'm picturing that, the like this one, it's got a shorter leg on this side, the short side. Yours is a lot wider, which makes sense.
Yeah. Yours is for the I guess for a 65 Mustang, which is actually a little bit different because I bought that wrong first, sent it back, got this one because I got the part number. There's one digit different when you order them.
Right.
I forget what it was. It was like a letter or something at the end. But anyway, so I bought the 65 first. That wasn't it. Figured out, okay, I got it now because I got the one for a 68. And but I did manage to get it in the car. It knocked the trans off to the side, so that didn't. The existing hole for the automatic, the shifter came up way to one side.
Okay.
With the thing bolted in there. When I did the new cross member, it centered the shifter, pushed it back a little bit, which was good, and it cleared the exhaust. So it was like a home run. So that was the modern driveline one. It kind of looks almost like a factory cross member, just a little deeper. Like it, it drops down a little bit. Looks kind of like a spider, but it's got longer legs.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that thing worked out really good. It was a little bit more money, but
Yeah.
I think if I maybe had single exhaust, it might have fit a little better. But it's still, the engine sits better with this one in there. I was a lot happier with it.
Okay. Well,
Yeah.
I know with this TCI setup, the exhaust is supposed to go like, I don't know. There's an area where it's supposed to go, but I'm just after talking about yours previously, I remember the Instagram stuff. I don't know that I'm 100% confident with this thing anyway. So that's where I'd rather make one.
Yeah.
I have the materials. I can build anything, but just about anything. But I don't know.
We bought another one. It's funny, we're going to do I'm going to flip my thing around here. There we go. We bought a second one for the other car because we are going to do a T5 swap on the white car one of these days.
Right.
I like the way that one fits so much. I left it in my project car, and we got another one of the modern driveline ones for this car. I could probably send you some pics, maybe a few dimensions if it helps, if that would be one that would possibly fit in your car.
Right.
But it'd still be a little different because of the different year of the vehicles.
Right. Yeah. The challenge. Well, I mean, but the floor pan, here's where the difficulty is. The floor pan in the Brooklyn Pony has the same width cross member as a 67 and up. That's the problem. So the 65 and 6 has the narrow cross member. I didn't know this either. So the 5 and 6 has a little narrow cross member, and then the later generation 67 and up has a fat one. And so this was
I wound up. Yeah.
What's that? So this was ordered
my first cross member for 65. We have the same problem because I had an early cross member for the late model transmission tunnel, and your Brooklyn Pony has a late model transmission tunnel. I guess we'll say the dimensions are the same.
Right. Because they make those, the pan will fit from 65 up to 70, I think. It's the same pan. So they just went proactive and made them all fat rather than make two variations, which I understand that. So, but that's something I didn't realize. I didn't know that either. And I know the owner ordered this, and we didn't know, we just an unknown. So in hindsight, I really want to make my own just because then I can make sure it's centered. I'm not having to modify things, because these aren't cheap. You know as well as I do, these aren't cheap. Even though it's like $8 in tubing or $8 in materials, that's what gets me is the pricing. So anyway, your son must be stealing your Wi-Fi.
No, that was me looking for buttons. I hit the one that says video. I still can't find that flip around on there for some reason.
Or you're kind of staggering. So it may be me. I don't know.
House again. Maybe that's a little...
Yeah, I don't know. It may be my problem.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah, I can hear you.
No,
you just kind of like...
I was going to say, I think you froze up on me for a minute. Okay.
Hey,
got it.
You're just jumping around. But I assume you're making progress on the 68. You got the tranny in and...
Yeah, I had kind of like finished the drive line. I was kind of good with it. And then I thought, I want it better. And we had the extra cross member that we bought for the white car. That was why I actually changed that over. I was going to leave it the way it was and maybe modify that cross member I had. But the other one fit like a glove. It was so easy to put in. The other one I had to kind of screw it out. Like it didn't fit well with the exhaust. It didn't clear anything. The modern drive line went in like really easy. Like you just put it up, twisted it like 90 degrees and bolted it in.
So modern drive line was the other one.
Yeah. So I've been working on the car. Let's see if I can get it in the background there. So it looked a lot better the last time you probably saw it. Looks like a disaster. But what I did, I picked up that used door maybe like a month ago. And you think you got to it was pretty good. Yeah. So I wound up, I stripped the door, welded a corner in it, kind of like the patch you did on your car.
Yeah.
And,
yeah, you did the full corner though, which is nice.
yeah, I kind of wrapped it around and did. That was actually the first time I'd done one of those. That was a new experience.
Yeah. Good.
Yeah, it came out. I was pretty happy with the result. I test fit it. Had it back on the car. It worked good, and then I finished it up. Straightened out a few things, and I kind of made my decision on painting. I had picked my color. It's Highland green, and I edged it in, and I'm going to go with a matte finish on the car. I kind of decided to commit to that, just for something different. It's not a concourse restoration, so I can do whatever I want.
Exactly.
Yeah. So I got a matte clear, and I jammed it with that. Did the door jam inside the door with that. The outside's just base for right now, and I think what I'm going to keep doing is just keep basing the panels as I go. And probably when I get the whole car done, if I want, maybe I'll do one final scuff, a coat of base over the whole thing, and then maybe like a matte clear. In the meantime, it'll look pretty good, and and I'll keep my spirits up because I'm starting to get discouraged with it looking like an Easter egg being painted so many different colors.
Well, that's kind of like me looking at Jade all the time, where it was just sitting there and sitting there and sitting there. So I got to make it all one color as best I can.
Yeah.
And but I haven't done anything to it since.
I pulled my
I got a question from.
Oh, what's that?
Hold on, I got a question from Guido. He's asking about. Are you familiar with the cigarette lighter? The insert that lives on the instrument panel. Mine was hollow, no inners. He'd push it in, it would never come out. Element not heating. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I'm not overly familiar with cigarette lighters. Obviously, it's pretty simple. Is you're creating a ground whenever you push it in. I think that's how it works. Creates a ground, and then heats it up, and then pops back out when it gets to the temperature it's supposed to be. But I don't know what the fix is. I'll put it that way, without replacing the assembly. So I want to make sure the wire going into it, if it's supposed to have power, make sure it has power. But I think they were all those were independent. So maybe there's a fuse involved because those didn't come on with a key. Cigarette lighter stayed on all the time.
Blown for it or something like that.
What's that?
I said they that's one of those things that tends to blow fuses a lot because they have a lot of resistance.
Yeah.
So maybe check the fuse first and see how things go from there.
Yeah.
It was funny. My '94 Mustang had the exact same lighter that my '68 does, and I don't really care about having a cigarette lighter for smoking because I don't smoke. But it is handy to plug GPSs and stuff like that in.
Well, yeah, it's a great power source.
Yeah, but you could unscrew it out of the console for the '94 and screw it right into the '68, and it even had the same plug on the back of it. Yeah,
that's cool.
Yeah,
we'll get Venice checking in from New Zealand.
Cool.
Okay, so Jerry is hearing an echo for some reason. So I don't know what's going on with that. I'm not getting that.
So I other progress on I pulled my front fender off, which I had bought. It was a used fender, and I wound up stripping that down with actually DA'd the whole thing just from front to back. It wasn't that bad. And I had a few little dingers I put in. I had to cut a hole for the light in the front because the 68s have the marker white light in the side. So I cut that, and that's got a epoxy primer on it right now.
Yeah.
And I think I'm going to do that. And if the light will let me do it, I'm going to edge in all around the area like where that weather strip used to be. That's not there right now.
Yes.
And the hinge pillar and all the way up to there. I'll, paint all that, semi-gloss clear it, put the door on, hang the fender, then just keep working my way. Probably be to the other door and the other fender. And then I got to tackle the roof on it.
Yeah, I don't know.
For function.
Yeah, you're cutting out on me.
I run out of Wi-Fi again.
Yeah,
I guess I got to stay on this side of the garage. Sorry.
probably.
So, anyway, like I was saying, it's nice to be working on stuff that's just for looks, and I don't have to worry about lining up frame rails anymore or anything like that.
Yeah. Well, I have a question from.
And
Let me pop up this question, and you can give some pointers on it too if you like. So Kevin is asking, can you talk about prepping and painting the engine bay? He's planning on using Eastwood chassis black since he doesn't have a powerful enough compressor for spraying with a gun. Well, the way I look at it, if you're doing an engine bay, you got to make sure everything's clean. You got to degrease, get all the debris and dirt out of there you possibly can. I have not used the chassis black, so I can't say for sure that's exactly what I would use. I have used rattle cans. I'll say that. I sprayed the Jade Mustang. I sprayed it with a rattle can. There you go. So there you go. So let's see what Harvey has to say about that stuff.
So it's interesting stuff. I've been pretty happy with all the Eastwood products we've used. So that stuff, I actually bought that. So I just had to retire my truck. It had 400,000 miles. It's pretty much time to sell it.
Yeah,
it's a Ranger with 400,000 miles on it, So I bought a Jeep, and I bought that stuff to do the frame. So actually, Jordan dug into it the other day before I could get to it. He cleaned up the frame, and they had a chassis black primer. I think that's another can. Yeah. See if I can get the camera right there.
You're getting close. There you go.
Rattle can, chassis black primer. And then this stuff we just brushed on the frame. And it kind of reminds you of an old enamel. And it's a little slow drying. So when you brush it, you got some strokes. You'll see brush strokes. But even on a fairly warm day, like the other day, it was like, I think it was 75, 78 degrees. It took a while to kind of lay out, but it smoothed out pretty nice. Okay. And the end result, it's nice. I mean, that's gloss. And the idea behind that was that the dirt would fly off the frame a little easier, clean off the frame a little easier on a Jeep. For right. I think for an engine bay, I'd probably try to do maybe like a matte or a semi-gloss. Right. This is like a pretty good product.
Well, yeah, I mean, Eastwood makes good stuff, but it's all the prep work too. You got to make sure everything's clean and degreased. You don't want any oil in there at all.
I kind of like if you have the option, if you could do something that's a catalyzed something inside the engine bay, only because if you spray like brake, or if you spill brake cleaner or something, or brake fluid on something, it'll probably go right through a lot of the paints that aren't catalyzed. You got a chance of it surviving if you don't have that.
Well, I'd mentioned before, when I did the light blue Mustang years ago, I sprayed it with DP90, which is a catalyzed epoxy. Yeah. And so that turned out fantastic. And I've had people ask me about it years later. What did you spray it with? And because I mentioned DP90, and I had to Google it myself, and they've changed the name a couple times. Still DP90, it's like DP90W or something. I don't know, remember what the words are, but or, letters, but because that was recommended to me by my paint rep to use this epoxy that they sell. But I'm sure Eastwood, obviously they sell good products. So I have no doubt in the quality of that. But to me, it's all about the prep work, getting everything out, making sure it's clean. So Jerry had to part with us. He said the sound was not good, so I don't know what exactly was going on. We have DP checking in from Philadelphia, and then I'm just across the Delaware River from Philadelphia. I'm not too far away. Okay. Yeah. We have Paul checking in with his '66 Cyclone, back from paint, doing the wiring now. That's cool. That's cool. So maybe he's doing the wiring while he's listening to the stream. I don't know. That's the most of the time. I'm if your streams go Monday night's a good night. I'm usually out here working on something. Yeah. You just listening in. In between grinding on fenders and stuff like that. Sure. Yeah. I mean, it's, hold on a second. Where am I at? Yeah. I had to update the YouTube thing. Anyway, where am I at? There I am. Okay. So, like you said, I know you're talking about you got the fender and epoxy, and you're doing the jams and playing with the paint and all that sort of thing. But what are you doing for the interior? Are you still keeping the same? Are you going to recover it, or I don't remember what the interior was?
My plan all along in the past was that I was going to do it black. The car was like, I think it was, I'm not good with the color, like seafoam green or something. It was like a light metallic green.
Yeah.
And the seats were, it's funny, after time, the seats kind of grew on me. They're kind of like a darker center with like a lighter outside. But
Right.
in the end, I already have black seat covers for it. So I'm going to, redo the seats one of these days soon. And once I've gotten the body a little further along, I'll get the seats done. And then I still have to do everything like, the door panels. I'm going to redo the rear interior panels black, and paint the inside of the doors black.
Okay.
Do a headliner.
You doing a one-piece headliner, or are you doing the fabric?
That one piece is really tempting because you don't have to pull the glass out to do it. It seems kind of more serviceable that way.
Really? I didn't realize that.
Yeah. They have a couple different. Yeah, they have a couple different versions you can get. Like one's almost like a vinyl, which I kind of like. They have one that's kind of a crushed velvet, but I'm not sure how that would hold up, or I'm not sure if I like the look of it.
Yeah. Yeah. Bob is commenting DP90LF in the PPG. I think it's LF. Hope that's what it says. And then, Kevin was his comment was he did grind all the old paint off down to bare metal. Would you use rattle can primer before the top coat? And you said Eastwood has a primer for that purpose.
Yeah, it's just for the chassis black. It's like I said, it says Extreme Chassis Black Primer is what we got.
Okay.
I'm not sure if it comes in different colors or not. We bought black everything.
Yeah.
For a rattle can kind of stuff, that's probably pretty good. That hot rod black that they have, that's a catalyzed, where you mix an additive to it to harden it, if that's an option. If you got even a small compressor and a small gun, I do like the idea of hardening stuff in engine compartments better. But
I agree.
It's all in like what your budget is and what your build is,
Right. So there's your answer, Kevin. So we'll give Harvey a bell for the. Is that a good bell? Yeah. Bell kind of sticks a little bit. I don't understand it.
Yeah.
But that's some good information on that. So DP says he's in Yardley, PA.
Oh, okay.
Yardley.
Yeah. That's cool.
And Kevin's in Bucks County.
And I have my sister lives there. Yeah.
Or Churchville is what he says. So I don't know how close any of that is. It's kind of funny when I wish I would have been able to get up there to see you when I made that trip up. But I don't know how much further you were north than the other guys.
I think your round trip would have been probably another 4 or 5 hours. Probably not something you had. I think you would have been probably at least 2 hours away.
Okay. Yeah, because I wasn't initially. The plan was to go to Jack's and then see Paul and Dave, and then go to Jorge's, and then go home. But I realized that if the trip was 45 minutes north of Newark Airport, and you have to be at the airport an hour before the flight leaves and all that stuff, I was like, well, my window of time went real small. Yeah. And I told my wife, I said, I'm just going to have to spend the night. There's no way I'm going to be able to get all this done. And she relented. she let it go. But Jorge's here. He's saying hi to Harvey.
Hey, Jorge.
And Rick Stevenson's here. So we got more people showing up. Showing 52 watching right now, which is good. And I was saying it earlier. I don't know if you heard or not, but I did submit for my retirement I put in the paperwork, and we'll see. I want to see the packet in hand and really get the information out and look at different things. And I mentioned it, and I mention it often because, like the Amazon program that is, I have a link to, people want to buy stuff from Amazon that helps out, stuff like that. So just trying to make sure people know that, because otherwise people buy stuff from Amazon all the time. If I can get a little percentage of it, well, that helps.
Absolutely. Yeah. Uh-huh.
But
well, if you do follow through with that and just do the YouTube videos, and off of that, you can literally say living the dream, right? When people ask how you're doing,
and that's
you
the
can
point.
say, living the dream.
Yeah. Well, and that's a good answer, because people commented, they said, well, if you turn your hobby into your job, you'll hate it. And I'm like, no, because it's never been a hobby to me. This has always been my life. I grew up in my dad's junkyard, so I've been around these cars all the time. And whenever I've been working on cars since I was 10, or maybe earlier than that, but I know for 10 for sure. But I used to come home from school, change into work clothes, and go turn wrenches. So it's just ingrained into me. It's not like it's, it's more natural than anything else that I've done. So, and just making the videos takes time and stuff like that. But it's not a hobby.
Well, maybe you'd fit better into that old saying that if you like your job, you'll never work a day in your life. Maybe that's closer to you.
That's exactly what it is. I don't know. I feel so comfortable around these cars all the time. It's just totally natural for me. So, so we have Jeff here, and 777 Smitty says he's looking for a gray interior. Can't find anything. Any suggestions? I don't know. I think was it TMI or something makes an interior kit for the Mustangs, but I have not dealt with them directly, so I don't know.
TMI is that's the kit that I have, is a TMI kit, and I haven't installed it yet, so I don't know for sure on the 68. I think the TMI kit we did on our 94 was also a TMI.
Okay.
It's funny that when you order it, when we ordered the 94 kit, we pulled the trigger and said now, and then I think it showed up like 3 or 4 months later. It's a long time, and we've had the kit ordered for the white Mustang we have for a couple months now, and I don't know if the COVID thing got it or what, but that still hasn't showed up either. We've had the seat cushions sitting in a box for months and nothing to put over them.
Well, they probably only build them on demand. It's probably not where they stockpile them and let them sit. So, and who knows what their actual timeline is for production. But I've heard good things about them. I just have not dealt with them specifically. So, Guido's telling me I need to lube the bell with Teflon coated. Great stuff. Uses on port cranes.
That bell's been getting some heavy use lately. Yeah. Well, maybe I just need to make a little recording of it when it sounds right, and I can just hit the recording, right? Yeah. Ding. Yeah. Jack is saying you're about 2 hours from him. Scott's checking in. Oh, Guido says he has TMI in his 65 Mustang, interior panels and seats and headliner. So I guess I'll give you a bell, Guido. I'm assuming that's a good product if you like it. I don't know. Hey Guido, how about a rating from 1 to 10 on how you like it, so we know how to rate it? Is it pretty good?
Yeah, we'll have to find that out. Wait for that to come. Brian, almost ready to get back to 69 project. He's offering me a cabin and hot dogs to come work on it. I don't know if I can do hot dogs, man. I can get hot dogs anywhere.
You have to go with the food that's unique to the area. Like, I guess if you fly into Philly, we definitely have to get genuine Philly cheesesteaks, right?
Well, you know, that's the thing. When I was with Jorge, we went to some an Italian place, and I got a cheesesteak there. And I'll be honest, it was not. I've never had a cheesesteak where they just put Kraft singles on it. I've never in my life had a cheesesteak. It was still good, mind you, and I appreciate it. But it was. I told him, I'm like, I've never had a cheesesteak with literally Kraft singles with plastic cheese. I'm like, that's not a Philly cheesesteak. That's not how you do it. But it was. I was very hungry, so it was good. Guido's given even 8 to 10.
8 out of 10. Okay, that's pretty good.
So,
all right.
So that's a good reference. He says the seats are comfortable, so that's good. Oh, he said they're comfortable on a long cruise. He's giving me sentences in broken sentences, like just a few words here and there. So,
when we did our '94 Mustang, Jared and I spent basically an entire weekend doing the 2 front seats. There was a lot to it. There was, the rods that go through it. I think a whole box of hog rings, heating things up, putting plastic bags over the cushions and then pulling the cover down over top of it to use the bag to help slide it. There was a lot of work. And I think that was the first one I had done. And I don't know if I ever did a seat like that. And then a couple weeks ago, I bought a Jeep to replace my truck. And we took the seats apart and cleaned everything because when I buy a used car, I kind of like it to be my dirt in it, not somebody else's,
Yeah.
So the experience of doing that Mustang seat really made the Jeep seats easy after that. It didn't seem too bad. We cut them apart, cut hod rings, didn't think a thing of it. The rods that go through them, I forget what they're called, pulled them out to get the thing apart and washed everything, put it back together. I said, if you can manage to do a 94 power leather seat, I think you can do just about any seat out there. Yeah.
Yeah, we had done some different seats at the body shop, old cars and stuff like that, and they were tough. That was some tough stuff. Leland is saying he's used TMI on his 68 Fastback 15 years ago, so he says it's good interior. Give him that.
All right.
Car guy Troy is here. John Bravo, TMI is good and tried all their 65 68 stuff. However, their 67 to 68 deluxe door panels have issues in the cup area that will prevent you from a clean install no matter what you do. They are aware and haven't done anything to fix it. So that's on the 67 to 68 deluxe panels is what he was saying. So thank you for that, John. That's good information. Yeah, Jorge is saying he wanted to take me to the Colombian restaurant, but it was closed at the time. That COVID just shut everything, down and carry out stuff. But that Philly cheesesteak and fries really did hit the spot, though. I'll say that. Let's see, Guido, a lot of work. I decided to try doing my seat. I farmed it out. Yeah, they're not easy. It takes some work. I will say that. Oh, here's a question. Guys, my header bolts keep backing out on my 289. Other than safety wiring the bolts, any suggestions? Actually, I might have a suggestion for you. They sell, at least I've seen them. I guess they still sell them. They sell a bolt that has a snap ring. And when if I haven't used them myself, but I've seen them, to where you put the bolt on and then you push a snap ring on and it makes contact with the manifold or the tube, and it's supposed to keep it from unscrewing. But I haven't used them directly, but I have seen those. So anybody else, ever seen those, Harvey?
Actually, it sounds like something I could use at some point in time. That sounds pretty good because that's been a lifelong problem with headers. Like anybody who's our age, your whole life, you probably, every 2 months you go in and tighten your header bolts up again. Yep. Yeah.
But I remember seeing those advertised somewhere. But it was basically somehow the bolt was a special design and it had flat spots built into it to where you could take the snap ring and go around it, and it would pinch onto the bolt, and then the ends of the snap ring would hit the tube, and supposedly that was to help keep it from turning. But I have not used it myself, but that is just a suggestion. So hopefully that Somebody could probably look that up while we're talking. Jack says we try to get you to have the North Jersey staple Taylor ham, egg, and cheese on a bagel. Have you had that, Harvey?
I don't think I'm far enough north for that, but it sounds pretty good.
Well,
I'd try it.
You may be too far north by the sounds of it. If you're north of that,
south. I'm almost in Delaware. I'm in the very southern part of New Jersey.
well, where's that in relation to Newark?
Newark's way north of me. Like I think
Oh, okay.
Newark is probably closer to New York than to me.
Okay,
Uh,
I was thinking you were on. I'd have to look at the map. I don't know, but
yeah, if you ever traveled to Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, I'm about 15 miles from Philadelphia,
okay.
but on the
Well,
Jersey side of the river.
It gets confusing when you start pushing the little states up against the big state, and it's like if you go up to the Maine and Rhode Island, all that, and this one comes around and makes all these weird little turns, and it's like which one's which?
Yeah.
But I haven't paid much attention to how the layout is for Jersey and
They
Pennsylvania.
call us the tri-state area. So our tri-state area is Delaware, is close by, Pennsylvania is close by, and then we're New Jersey.
Okay. Well, I've been to as a kid, Atlantic City, New Jersey.
Okay.
And we used to go to Ocean City, Maryland all the time. But again, that little, it's kind of in that mix. You have the Delaware River, and
yeah,
it's all confusing.
That's where we vacation there a lot of summers in Ocean City, Maryland.
Yeah.
That's about 2 hours, 2.5 hours from us, something like that.
Okay.
But pretty cool.
For us, I think it's probably I don't know. I want to say 6-hour trip, something like that. I don't remember.
Mm-hmm.
I haven't been there since I was probably 14. So DP says that wasn't a Philly cheesesteak. Yeah, it was close enough. I tell you what, I was hungry. It was close enough. Jeff can supply wings and beer if you're ever in Morgantown, West Virginia, and want to check out my car. Well, Jeff, that Morgantown, I have to think where that's at, because I might be visiting family up in Pennsylvania in a few months, and we may, if we do, we're going to probably drive, but I think we go up through. I don't even know what the roads are. We go up 85, 77. We get on 77 and then 81 to 522, and then takes us to Winchester, through Winchester, West Virginia. So I don't know how close Morgantown is to any of that, but you never know. Kevin says TMI seats are expensive. What about seats out of other car? What do you recommend, brand year, etc.? Yeah, I don't have much recommendation. I've only put in original seats. Haven't really looked at modifying crossover stuff. So,
Hey Barry.
Yeah.
I got a fire call I got to go to.
Okay, well, I'll sign you off. Yeah, I heard something going on.
Yeah, it was my active 911. So I'll catch you another. Seems like every Tuesday night there's a fire. But have a good one.
All right, be careful.
Take care.
Yep. All right. So Harvey has a fire to attend. Let's see. Boondocker lost. I'm not sure. Called something like grade 8. Oh, are you talking about the? You're talking about the bolts? I don't know what you're referring to. Paul's saying, "Oh, that's good." I don't know what that's good for. You got to give me more information. I'm getting snippets here. It's hard to keep up with. So stage 8 makes the header bolts. So there is Paul letting us know that stage 8 makes those header bolts. So check those out. Boondocker header bolts, that is. Okay. All right. So Rick is saying he read an article on Days Cars about using Subaru seats in a Mustang. I'm sure that probably works, but I don't know. I don't have any reference, and I'm sorry about that. I don't know. I haven't kept up with interchange very much. I know in my Model A, I put jump seats out of what was it? Like a Pontiac Transport. They had rear jump seats or something, and I was able to modify those to fit the Model A, and they were almost same size, only not as thick as the original Model A seats. Kevin saying pork roll rocks. I have to agree with you. Paul says easy way to answer if you're an Eagles or a Giants fan. Okay. Guido, have you a lot of Italians in your area? I'm going to say no. We have a lot of transplants from the Pennsylvania area, northern, transplants. I'm a transplant, but I can't say we have a lot of Italians. So maybe you could start the trend, move to Georgia. Jorge, Sator works great because of constant expansion and contracting. Well, that is true. I'll give you a bell for that. 777, for the header bolts, I had an old man tell me to install studs with a nut. He said it works, but I never tried it. Well, that may be a option. I don't know. I guess if there was a way to get the studs to stay in, if you really got tricky, you could do but see, the studs they can make it really difficult because a lot of times you have to fight with headers just to get the bolts in. You got to wiggle stuff around to get the bolts in. And with a fixed location of the header on a stud or studs, you might have a hard time getting a nut to start. So that may work. I don't know. But another thing I've seen with headers is sometimes you have to pull them off slightly, start a middle bolt somewhere and walk it in, and then put in all the other bolts because of the shape of the tube gets in the way of the bolts. So it may, I don't know. I haven't tried the studs. It may work. I don't know. So Paul is saying there's a little wing, for loss of a better word, that has a hex opening that goes over the head bolt and is held on with the snap ring. Okay. See, I knew there was something with a snap ring, so I'll get a bell for that, and you get a bell for the information. Oh, Paul's saying a Taylor ham. Yeah. Well, now I'm really disappointed that I didn't get Taylor ham. You guys should have known better. Pick up a coffee and bring the local delicacy. Okay, so yeah, Morgantown is right next to PA, about an hour below Pittsburgh off I-79. Yeah. I think I drove. What is it? The what's the name of it? The big bridge, great big tall bridge. I drove back one time coming over that bridge. It's so tall that you see fog down below at the river. You have to tell me. You know what I'm talking about. It's up to you, Jeff. What's the name of that bridge? Let's see. The wing Paul's saying the wing stops the bolt from turning. It hits the header tube. Yeah. All right. We'll see you, Scott. Glad you're here. Let me see here. Guido, I bet Fox body seats, and since it's 4 a.m. would be easy transition. Well, that's very possible. I don't know for sure. But like I said, I have not tried to do a crossover of seats. So 68 saying, do you know any good headers for regular 289 with automatic? Should I go with the hypo ones? Well, let me tell you. If you go to my Jade videos and you look at the headers that I put on Jade, that car, it's 289, it's a 302, but it's the same engine. The headers I bought were from Summit, and they were ceramic coated, and they were made. It was Summit brand on the box, but when I opened the box up, it had Patriot was the brand of headers. Those headers fit perfect. So if you're looking at headers, I would recommend the Summit brand ceramic coated headers, as long as they're made by Patriot. You know, I'm sure Patriot has their own box or whatever, but the Summit brand is what I went with, and I was very happy with them. Tempest Restoration, man, where you been? I've been looking at some of your videos. You're thinking ahead for my 68 fastback. I have a 67 9-inch width and want to do Eaton LSD 31 spline noise performance center. Do you have any experience with it? I don't have an answer for that. So if anybody else has any advice for Tempest Restorations, if you haven't checked out his videos, he did the one of the viewers projects, his 68 fastback he's building up in New York. So go check out his videos and subscribe and check it out. But I don't have an answer for you on the rear end. So if anybody has any advice, let them know. Yeah, it's okay, Dave. I'll let it slide. Also, if any poor man's ideas for rear end with disc, I've heard the Ford Explorer is a way to go with that setup, but I know you have to shorten one tube, I believe. And I think you have to get the axle from the opposite side, get a new axle and put it in the other side after it's been shortened. That's what I understand. Correct me if I'm wrong. Somebody else may have an answer to that, but that's what I understand. Yeah, Jeff, New River Gorge. That was a little bell. Hold on. There you go, bigger bell. Yeah, New River Gorge, which if you haven't driven across that bridge or done the tour, anybody who's driven in that area, you need to. It's pretty amazing to see that bridge. Of course, there's other taller bridges. I don't remember the height. I think it's like 900 feet. I don't know, 800 feet, whatever it is. But it's pretty cool to see that that bridge and have, you know, boardwalk style area that you can walk down and look underneath it and different things. Have you ever considered a coupe to fastback conversion, Sean? Yes, I have. I just haven't had the opportunity. I've looked at the idea of finding a car that was messed up that I could get cheap and then buy the conversion kit. I don't want to take, and this is just the way I am, I don't want to go buy the top half of an original fastback and the bottom half of a coupe and push them together. I don't want to do that. I would rather go buy the kit to where I can change out the whole sides, put in all the panels, and make it better, in my opinion. But I have considered doing that. I just got FPA headers for the 390 and the Cyclone, so I'm not familiar with FPA, but that may be good to go with. Paul, I use FPA Ford powertrain headers on my Blue Cougar. Very few fit with the 4-speed top loader. Okay, well, that's some good information. Then you get a belt for that. I just know with the 289 or the 302 in the 68, which is what 68 Stang is dealing with, I was happy with those results. So Tempest working on the car, good. I think I watched the video where you were struggling with the quarter or something. I know you were concerned with how the quarter panel was fitting. I don't remember the exact situation, but I know you were some fitment issue. You were having to undo and working on a B pillar and stuff like that. So go check out Tempest Restoration. Look at his channel and look at his 68 Mustang. Yeah, DP, I recommend Summit ceramic coated as well. I'll give you a bell because you agree with me. Art's talking about the axle. If you use 8.8 Explorer, the driver's side tube needs shortening, and then you use 2 passenger side axles. I knew it was one or the other, so thank you, Art. I knew it was one or the other. And Gary is responding as well. Shaping shorten. Wait a minute. Wait a minute. Art's saying driver's side tube needs shortening. Gary is saying the passenger side shorten the passenger side. Well, I know it's one of the two. So, okay. All right, Gary. I'm going to shake my little Mustang at you. Paul saying FPA is Ford powertrain applications that make some nice stuff. Okay, good. Oh, that's the other thing I wanted to talk about. There you go. All right. So Tempest, thank you for the information there, and thank all of you for that information. Yeah, hindsight 67, match the shortest side. Exactly. Whichever one is long, make it shorter. Regardless, make one side shorter. While I was out trying to figure out this cross member, talking to my muffler guy, I stopped in at a shop that I've talked about this before. There's a guy who has a shop local to us, and he has a 69 Mach 1 that is Acapulco blue, 390 automatic car that he bought brand new. I'm just amazed at that he bought this car brand new, and he's driven it over the years. You know, the car is gorgeous, and he's taking care of it. But I mean, he's got to be. I mean, he bought it in '69. You figure if he was 18, he did the math. If he was born in 51, 61, 71, I don't know, 70 something. I can't think right now. But the point being, he bought the original. He's the original owner of the '69 Mach 1, and you know, he's worked on it, driven it, done stuff to it, and he's had the engine out. He's had it sitting in his shop on jack stands for like the last 8 years, and has taken all the suspension out, took everything apart, and was just cleaning it up, putting it back together. You know, just I don't know. He's got a regular business that he operates, but he's putting it all back together. Anyway, he okay, so Bob's saying 69. Yeah, that makes sense. And I'm saying he's at least 69. I think he's older than that, honestly. But okay, so now Gary is saying it's the passenger side you shorten. All right. Well, it's whatever it is, shorten one side. That's all you got to know. But and Tempest, he was doing the B pillar as an afterthought. Plus, quarter was not allowing it. Ideally, have to make aftermarket panels. Yeah, gotta love them. Exactly. But anyway, he's got this original 69 Mach 1 that he's had since new, and I know it's a 390 car, and I mean, I just love the car. Really nice guy. He builds stuff all the time. Inside the shop is not only the 69 Mach 1 that's sitting still on jack stands. There's a 69 coupe that's basically looks like it's mounted to the back wall of the shop. I don't know what it's on some sort of high level platform. It's like 4 feet in the air. And while I was there, he was working on I don't know for sure the year. I could say 71, 2, or 3 Mach 1. And I commented, I said, you don't see those like ever anymore. And he's like, yeah, they're not that popular. But the guy that owns it, I don't know if he bought it new or not, but it was a blue Mach 1. And he said it had the high performance engine in it for that time period. Still had the original engine in it. It had a Holley 4-barrel on it, and it was a factory AC car. And it had a 4-speed, which I thought was really neat because you just don't see them, you know. And then find one that's got a 4-speed in it. That's even feels more rare. But anyway, he's working on that car while he's doing other stuff and running his business. And I'm talking to him about doing a video. He's agreed to it. He wants me to actually do a video. We'd love to have the video up. And so, but he's taking his time building this car. And yeah, it's not actually the muffler guy. This guy has another business, Sean. Sorry, but I'm looking at stuff. He says, "Yeah, I'm building the engine for the Mach 1 now. His 69 Mach 1." And I look over and I'm like, "Well, something doesn't look right." And he commented that he built a run-up stand to dyno his engine, as he says. He's got a stand built with a radiator on it and all the stuff to mount up the engine so that he can fire it up and run it before he puts it in the car. And he walks over and he says, "Yeah," and he pulls the cover off of this thing. I should have taken some pictures of it. And I was looking at it, and I said, "Oh, wait a minute. This has Edelbrock Performer RPM heads on it." So I thought he was keeping the car original. And I look a little harder, and he says, "Yeah, and that intake manifold is an aluminum intake from something in the 60s. Some sort of aluminum intake. He's had just a single 4-barrel. And it had aluminum water pump on it." And I look, and he's built this, I'll call it an outcropping on the oil pan. And the pan looks like it's on backwards because the sump is in the front, the full sump. But he's built this like box, literally about yay big, about that wide, about that deep. I say deep, that deep. But anyway, it's built, just welded onto the side of the oil pan at the bottom. And I said, "What's up with that?" He said, "I just wanted more capacity." So he built this thing, and he had to trim it so that it would clear the sway bar in the front. And then he told me how he had to modify the oil filter. He had to shorten up the assembly, like somehow he modified it to where you put a shorter or move the oil filter up or something. But point being, he's building a 428. He's not building a 390. The 390 is sitting on a stand over on the other side of the shop. He's actually building a 428 to put in his 69 Mach 1. And on one hand, I'm torn. I'm thinking, why would you do that? It's an original car, but he's not getting rid of the 390. But he wants a 428. So he's building it. And then I noticed he had, Magnum 500 style wheels on it. He had aluminum wheels, but they were the 5-spoke, wheel instead of the old style steel with a little hubcap. So what I want to do with him is I told him, I says, "Call me when you get the engine on the dyno, and I want to do a video of him running that engine on the dyno, and then I'll save that video. And then I want to have him put the engine, come back when he's got it in the car, and do a real kind of interview with him and the car. And then maybe, if he'll let me, go for a ride in it with him." I just think it's awesome, that he has this car. And I know he's a veteran. I know that. I think he served in the Navy in Vietnam. So really, just a really nice guy. And what was interesting is I've been to his shop several times, but it's not somebody you just on a first name basis. We just have talked a lot. And there was several months ago, I hadn't seen him in probably a year or more. And it was several months ago, my wife and I were off somewhere to eat. This is before the COVID thing, like late last year or something. And he saw me going to the restaurant, and he stopped, said, "Hey, you want to talk to me?" It's like, "Oh, okay, fine. I'll talk to you. I don't mind talking." But anyway, I need to do a video on that thing. It is a really cool car and nice guy. And I commend him for building what he wants. He's not worried about it. He knows he has all the parts and the originality, but he's going to have the car that he wants to drive, and kudos to him. So, yeah, Brian. Yeah, the address and a good time when he's not home. Yeah. No. In fact, I might even, thinking of that, when we do the video, if I do it at his shop, I'm probably going to have to go out of my way to make sure I don't identify the shop or where he's at. I just don't want him to have any trouble. And because, people, they want to steal stuff, people like stealing things. But anyway, DP saying bring some steaks for the dogs. Oh, okay. Now steaks, I can go for a steak. I go for a good ribeye. Oh yeah. Haven't had one in a while. You know what? Now I want a ribeye. I haven't had a ribeye in months. That's disappointing. I have to do that now. Man, you had to bring up steaks. Now I want to go eat a steak. Well, regardless, it is now 1 hour and 46 minutes into the live stream. Doesn't look like I have anybody else joining in, and that's okay. I did get an email from Resto Alcy. He is at work. Well, and let's see. He's watching the channel while getting the workshop organized. Cool. That's pretty cool. It's like I said, you get contacts from people in the opposite side of the planet. That's really cool. Tempest, different question. I wanted your opinion on painting engine bay the same color as the car or satin black. I am fighting between the two. Well, what color is the car going to be? That's the first question. I don't know what the answer is. So, what your challenge is on those. So you have to let me know that first. But you can't go wrong with black. You really can't. The engine bay. What did somebody? They used to say that the engine is like the diamond on a ring. It's that piece of jewelry when you open up the box from Garrett or whatever, and you open it up and you're like, oh, look at that. And some people will look at it and say, well, you don't want anything detracting from that. And with a black engine bay, it kind of emphasizes if you got the chrome and the polished stuff or, different things like that. So that's kind of how I look at it in a sense. No matter what color the car is, you want to kind of have the, the jewelry box open up. And yeah. So anyway, that's kind of how I look at it. Okay. It's going to be a candy color. Like I'm guessing candy red. Because you can have different candies. I've seen. So I think I would still go black. It's a nice offset. And it depends what you want to do, obviously, but I just like seeing that differentiation. Wow, that's a big word. Different colors when you open up the hood. I just like seeing. It's almost like you're isolating the engine bay as a different thing to look at. Whenever you see a color that flows all the way into the fenders, it's kind of, to me, it's like a street rod, an old street rod where they would paint everything yellow or whatever and then put flames on it. And that's okay. But for the Mustangs or even Camaros or whatever, from my visual perspective, when I open that hood, I feel like I'm going into a different part of the car, not just a continuation of the outside. So just my opinion. I like the I like the variations. Oh, Gary's going to join us for Ribeyes, Art. Yeah, man. Is that Minnesota? Okay. Yeah, exactly right. Yeah, I agree, Daniel. I love the fact that he's building what he wants. It's his car, I appreciate that, and he's not getting rid of the part, so it's not your change. You're right. It's not going to change anything. He still has the original 390, and he'll probably rebuild it and have it sitting on a stand. We talked about this before when I was at Jack's. whenever he was going to rebuild that 66 fastback, his 66 fastback, about saving the engine, rebuilding it, and just having it on a stand. And if you ever want to sell the car as a package, here's the original stuff. So goes with it. Yeah, Tempest, I like that satin black. I really do. Art saying, Gary, go to Farmington, Minnesota, and follow your nose. It's going to be a root beer candy. That sounds like an interesting color. Yeah, I'm okay with that. I still like the black. I like the difference. I like the break, Art saying, I think it will look a little funny when you see body color through the grill. I like black core support. Yeah, that's where I'm at. I like that same idea. Sean, you're late. It's all right. Glad you're here. You got about 8 minutes left till I call it quits. Boondocker, close your eyes and try to imagine opening the hood and seeing what would impress you. Do that. There you go. That's a good way to look at it. I just know that that's where I'm at. Dave, next trip to New Jersey, we'll get together for some ribeyes. I'll have my backyard done by then. Well, not if I come up next week. That puts the pressure on you to get everything done, right? Man, now you got me thinking about ribeyes. You guys are torturing me. I haven't had a ribeye in a long time. At least it feels like a long time. And part of that is I do my own. I like doing. I don't grill. I will grill, but I don't like to grill. But I used to make, believe it or not, I used to make ribeyes in a toaster oven. For guys at work, we would do 4 ribeyes in a toaster oven, and they were fantastic. And the trick is you gotta soak them. I soak them in Dale sauce overnight, and then when you do it in a toaster oven, you basically broil them. So I would actually make a pan out of aluminum foil, heavy duty aluminum foil. Fold up a pan, put the ribeyes in, and of course season it with whatever. Put mushrooms and onions, all that good stuff, and then broil them, and then flip them over, and they were just fantastic. But I actually like broiled ribeyes. You're welcome, Tempest. Here hindsight, Roger. Tempest, think about trying to touch up and match a candy Rupert color if you got a scratch in the engine compartment. It'd be nearly impossible. Black is easier. That is a very good point. You get a bell for that, Roger. Yeah, Dave. Might be a while. You never know. Brian, a guy about 10 miles from me, has an original 429 Cobra, been scoping his place out for years. Yeah. Hey, let me tell you something. I just got some pictures sent to me. I'll see if I can pull these up, because I was having a conversation with some friends, and they mentioned that their dad used to have a shop somewhere. I won't say where. And he said, hey, my dad has this 41 Ford. Okay, yeah, it's Dale sauce. Dale. Look up. Dale sauce is fantastic. No, not Dave's. Not Dave's. Dale. Dale. Like Dale Earnhardt. And and they have I think a bull on a logo or something, and they have a low sodium version or whatever. It's good stuff. Trust me, Dale sauce. But anyway, I was talking to these friends yesterday, and they said their dad had a body shop, or had a shop somewhere, and oh, Jack, man, that's not fair, man. That is not fair. So anyway, they said their dad had a shop, and dad passed away several years ago, and the shop has been running. They had somebody running it, and they said, hey, would you be interested in an old 41 Ford. I said, what? Well, maybe, yeah, sure. Well, it's not a 41 Ford coupe, it's a 41 Ford sedan. But I was thinking it would be in like worse shape. It's actually pretty nice. I know I can't buy that car. But then they said, we have an old wrecker sitting out back too. And I was like, an old wrecker? What is it? Oh, I don't know. It's just an old wrecker. I said, oh, well, if you get a chance, send me some pictures of it. Send me some pictures. Can you see what that is? It's a 67 Chevy with Sinclair badging on the side of it. I'm sure that's just a sticker. I don't think it's painted on, but it's a 67 67 Chevy truck. And it even has the lights on the roof, or the lights on the rack. You can just see them in there. And then it has the a record bed on the back of it, flatbed, record boom, little small back window, and it looks like, I'm sure it's a granny low 4-speed inside. I'm gonna have to see about buying this truck. I don't need it, but man, a 67. It's what, I don't know what I'm sure it's got. Yeah, it's got 8 lug wheels. It's a dually. If I can get it for the right price, I'm going to buy it. I hate to say that, but if I can get it for the right price, I'm going to buy it. And I would love to just make it, not even do anything to it, just leave it alone, and just clean it up. Just clean it up and drive it to the car shows. Why not? That's my retirement thing, right? Have my own wrecker. But man, I was really excited when they told me about that. So I have to see what I can come up with. Let's see. Yeah, ribeyes sound great, but it's spaghetti for me tonight. Yeah. Well, you know what I had tonight? I had peanut butter and jelly sandwiches because running out of time. And then, so I need to get out here. So I whipped up a couple peanut butter and jelly sandwiches and whooped them down. So yeah, Roger, I saw that. I was like, oh, I got to go look at this. Yeah, an old wrecker would be a cool project. Yeah, magic mushroom. Yep, I have that. I don't know where I have a picture somewhere. And I think it's on my Facebook page, my Joe Daddy's Facebook page, somewhere. But yeah, that's Rockback Pizza. Rockback Pizza was the name of that place. Art, I really like that. If that thing, I don't think it's painted on. I'm thinking it's a sticker, but it looks like it's in great shape. So I'd have a hard time pulling that off. I really would. But I'd like to have Joe Daddy's Garage on the side of it. But I'd have to do it in a different form. Wouldn't have to, like the this is probably too, I don't know. I have to worry about getting the truck first. But I like the Sinclair logo on the side. That's cool. Yeah, Dave, it's yeah. I need to call them. All right. That's it for tonight. We got 30 seconds left, and I'm going to call it a night. I'm going to get in the house, watch a little TV, and maybe get something else to eat. Those sandwiches didn't hit me good enough. Yeah, sound like Dave. Man, trust me. Dave has a lot of stuff, but I would have, if I had 10 acres of land, I'd fill it up. I could say that. So anyway, we're going to call it a night. I'm glad you're all here. Again, if you're hit the thumbs up, whatever, all the stuff that goes along with it. If you're going to Amazon, order stuff through my page. If you want to be a patron on Patreon, I would appreciate it. All that cool stuff. And everybody's checking out. So I don't know if you saw the opening. I tried to do good night all. I tried to do a closing thing. So I'm going to say goodbye and play my little montage. And when it does that, it shuts me off. So until next time, take care of yourselves. I'll probably try to do something again on Wednesday, in the afternoon. And if I don't, well, I'll do it on Monday, whatever. But stay tuned. We'll see you.